Hi, I'm Dr. Rudy Cashman. I'm the wellness director at the Lutheran Hospital. I was a neurosurgeon actually for 45 years. Retired about a year and a half ago. And during this time, I noticed 75% of the illnesses that I was looking at, frankly, needed a coach, didn't need much more. So I've become an expert, frankly, on connecting the brain back to the body. I woke up people to the mind-body connection, which is not used a great deal in medicine today, and I think that's incorrect. The mind has tremendous power, frankly, in cancer. So cancer is not a diagnosis, it's not a death sentence. You got to participate in your health care, and I can teach you a lot of ways to double your lifespan, increase your spontaneous cure rate. That's right out of the literature. It's my experience. So let's go on this road together, the road of love, hope, faith, and science. I want you to partake in the medicines that are going to give you radiation or chemo, whatever, but I want you on top of that, participate in your health care, and I'll teach you methods to improve you, to reduce your pain, to double your lifespan, maybe increase your spontaneous cure rate. I've seen it, and it's in all these books I have in front of me, and many more that I've read, and of course I've treated cancer, part of neurosurgery for many years. So let's start on this travel together and see if I can't help you and improve you or your relatives or your friends. I mean, how does this work? For one thing, what people did not realize till about 1972 when Candace Pert wrote a book called Molecules of Emotion, how our thought process affects our body. She scientifically proved it. Even Hippocrates, thousands of years ago, he believed it. Oh, he believed the mind-body connection and actually wrote things about it. But she discovered the science of it. We go into more detail. So brain secretes neurotransmitters. Those are the neuropeptides that jump between an axon and the dendrite, and hormones and neuropeptides. So neurotransmitters, hormones, and neuropeptides made in the brain, secreted in the bloodstream and land on cells and receptors. These are receptors on our 70 trillion body cells, and give the message and tell it to do something. Interestingly enough, Candace Pert proved that our white cells in our body, our T cells, make the same neurotransmitters, and we can speak back to our brain. So it's body, so it's mind, body, body, mind. Also, our autonomic nervous system, our sympathetic nervous system, our automatic nervous system actually sends nerves to the spleen and the thymus, and our white cells, actual nerve impulses to our Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, our lymphatic system that defends our body. Yes, this Army defends our body, our lymphatic systems, where the spleen and the thymus and our lymph nodes are our defenders of bacteria and viruses, but also cancer, and is affected by the neurotransmitters, the hormones, and also the autonomic nervous system. They just trace nerves right to the spleen, right on top of the cells in the spleen, located in the left side of our body, which is part of the lymphatic system. Wow, isn't that interesting? So every thought, conscious or unconscious, affects the physiology of a body. That's what Candace Pert proved in her great book. That wasn't very well known before that time. She was the first one to demonstrate where morphine worked. Should have gotten the Nobel Prize from it. And she didn't, because her boss wanted it, and there was a problem, and Nobel Committee didn't give it to her, but that was a tremendous discovery. So how we think affects the rest of our body. When I was in med school, I remember, I was stressed. I wanted to be a doctor so bad. I think my heart was beating 5 times a minute because of the sympathetic nervous system and our neurotransmitters and hormones were affecting my heart. Now that I've been around a while, I noticed my thought process affects not the heart as much, but my bowel. So 40% of your Army, Navy, and Air Force, the lymphatic system, is located underneath inside your bowel. 40% of it. Isn't that interesting? And there's only one layer of mucosa above that, so you could see how your food could penetrate the lymphatic system and affect it quite easily. Food allergies, for example. Another interesting thing is that abdominal fat, especially white abdominal fat, you have a pot belly, it's 30% lymphatic system located in there. So that in turn can inflame your blood vessels. Your heart, for example, also cause cancer. Yes, people overweight have elevated BMI, have higher rates of colon cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer. That's not well known. Many types of cancer are caused by the chemicals IGFs and estrogen are located in fat. Isn't that interesting? So every thought affects our 67 trillion cells in our body. So what I'm speaking about today really is holistic medicine, okay, which is a combination of the physiology of your body, okay, the physical aspects of your body, the spiritual aspects of your body. What I'm saying is that faith and belief can affect your health. Absolutely true. I used, for example, in my practice of neurosurgery, I went to visit Dr. Tu, the most well-known neurosurgeon in the world in Cincinnati. He operated one of my patients. It was an unusual case. The first thing he did after the surgery, took everybody's hand, we said a prayer. I did it ever since that time. Whenever there was a rabbi, a priest, whatever, and whatever religion, respect to all religion. If I saw that religious leader there in the preoperative area, I had everybody hold hands and say a prayer. That's healing. Very effective. I did the same thing when visiting the patients post-operatively. So spirituality in your belief can affect your healing. Even patients without any type of religion can believe in the electromagnetic energy of the universe and have faith in that. It leads to healing. So part of holistic healing is each person is unique. We're all different. So the provider must speak to you. He must know who you're dealing with to tell you, well, you have cancer, you get 6 months to live. It's just not going to do it with me because you'll start believing it, when in reality it's not true the majority of the time. None of us know what's going to happen, whether we disable or die or be cured. The lymphatic, our immunity, our Army and Navy can change in a minute and cure you of the cancer. That can happen like that. I've seen it happen in 3 days. Big lump on the chest, and a week later it's gone. It happens. I've seen it many times. So when you look through statistics and you see the graft, well, 80% chance you'll be dead in 6 months. Well, that's a graft. That's not you. You are unique. You are unique. It's different in everybody. Who knows what it is? And this was told through Dr. Gold, the written famous books on evolution. He came up with a serious cancer, and they showed him the graph in 8 months that he'd be dead. Well, the curve kind of looked like this, and the end of some people survived. And that's what he visualized, and guess what happened? He lived 25 years and died from something else. And so don't fall for the stats. Don't fall for the stats. So each person should be part of the decision-making team. You can't just say to the doctor, well, do what, just give me the chemo and the radiation, and you don't participate in your health care. Big mistake. Big mistake. Remember what I said? There's healing power in your thought process. Negative thinkers die sooner. That's been well described. Positive thinkers live longer. That's been well described in the literature. I saw it many times. I remember seeing a man with a highly malignant brain tumor said, "Doctor, I'm not going to die." Guess what happened? He didn't die of a very unusual, highly malignant tumor. He just did everything, but he exercised, he ate the right food. He did everything I advised because he obviously was going with the right guy. I mean, that's what I believe, and I taught him that, and a very interesting. So there's a doctor living within us, said Herb Benson from Harvard. I visited him one time, actually, at Harvard, and I believe it. Look at a cut. You get a cut. Your body knows how to heal it. Your body has tremendous healing power. We just got to get out of the way and not kill it with poor health habits, for example. So we really taught you how the body how the brain speaks to the bodies from the hypothalamus, which is above, which is the Wizard of Oz, or the metabolic center of your body, no big, silver dollar at best, sends messages to the pituitary gland, which sends out messages, real hormones, CRH, ACTH, TSH, and estrogen, testosterone, stimulators of these glands, but they're affected by your thought process besides the needs of the body. Neurotransmitters also originate there. There's about 35, about 350 neuropeptides. Insulin is a neuropeptide, for example. And and I already mentioned to you that Candace Pert described this, a great book, Molecules of Emotion by Candace Pert. A wonderful book to read. So what do we have? An emotional body. We have an emotional body. Descartes, 1635, cut the head of the body, gave it to the church, gave the body to science, and what do we get? Organ doctors, heart doctors, lung doctors. But not many providers today connect the mind and the body. They communicate with each other. The heart, for example, receives messages from the brain of hormones and neurotransmitters and nerves. So our thought process is quite important. Our monocytes in our defense system, our lymphatic system, make those neuropeptides that our brain makes, Candace Pert proved. So the body, our peripheral body speaks back to us, back to our brain. It's something important to know. There's a field called PNI. Psychoneuroimmunology is a field that's expanding and which is speaking about the effects of the mind on the body, that our white cells, our monocytes, our T cells, which are our main defense system, in our bone marrow and our spleen and our thymus right here, they got nerves going to them, and the cells affected by the hormones, neurotransmitters, and neuropeptides. So your Army, Navy, and Air Force, your defense system, can be influenced by your thoughts, positively or negatively, okay? Negative thinking people die sooner. Stress especially affects us. Christopher Reeve dies, and his wife never smoked, husband never smoked, never exposed to smoke, and she dies of lung cancer within the year. Stress. Loss of a spouse is very stressful, very stressful. And also, what's very important really is the will to live, the will to live, to want to live. Hutschenegger wrote a book called The Will to Live. You can get it through Amazon or whatever. I never met many people who wrote it, written many years ago. We're going back 50 years. Leading psychotherapist, and he figured out the importance of our thought process and our disease process. So that was very good. But this goes back in the literature many years. In 1846, Walter Heil related nature and treatment of cancer. It was very clear to him that they gave tests to people and they found negative thinkers had much higher rates of cancer. Claude Bernard, 1865, mentioned a human being must be considered a harmonious whole. Very interesting. So he saw the connection. Hippocrates, 2,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago, saw the connection. Paget said, depression plays a vital role in cancer as well as anxiety and hopelessness increase cancer growth. Depression, anxiousness increases the rates of cancer. Paget, 1870. So the proof is there, okay? So the history of mind and cancer, they believed it fairly strongly till about the 1900s. And at that point, the time of Freud, that theory kind of went into disrepute. But now they're finding again that they were wrong. And instant demonstration is paranoids, people who think everything's going bad, who think too much have higher rates of cancer. Okay, schizophrenics who have a split mind, who are much more optimistic, maybe when they shouldn't be, have much lower rates of cancer. That's in the literature. Isn't that fascinating? Proving the point. And then Carl and Stephanie Symington wrote a book called Getting Well Again, 78, 80, 92. And then they studied 159 patients. And you know what they found out? It's more important to know what kind of a person has a disease than what the disease the patient has. Wow. They could predict by a long interview who was more likely to get cancer. How about that? How much depression, how much anxiety, how much negative thinking. They practiced for 40 years and published many great books to read. The Symingtons really started this thought process of providers looking at the connection of the mind with cancer. So what they found, cancer patients live twice as long if they are taught mind-body techniques of stress reduction, proper eating, nutrition. And they proved it. Many patients, very interesting. The thing they found, 30 to 45% of the patients are cured by modern medicine, okay? But one dies and another doesn't, although they seem to have the same cancer. So it's important. We're all different. We're all individual. You must know the person. So if your doctor never gets to know you, you might consider moving on. You got to know what makes you tick, because that helps heal you. So they had, with their techniques, higher rates of spontaneous cures. Their cancer just went away. They don't know why. Unfortunately, they have not spent a great deal of time in studying the people that cured them, that were cured by their own immunity. That's kind of sad. We need to know what kind of people were they. So there are spontaneous remissions of the most advanced cancer. Yes, this happens. This happens. And there's a man who wrote a book too, LaShan. Interesting enough, Dr. LaShan lived down the street with me, Lawrence LaShan, in New York City. I lived on 81st Street, 149 81st in New York as a child, right down the street from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And I thought I was poor, you know. There was something wrong about that thinking. And but LaShan lived, I probably walked by him, but never knew him. But he published a book. And what he would do is, here's an example there, and studied thousands of patients. He was a psychiatrist dealing with oncology patients, okay? That's what he did most of his life. He would, had this lady with metastatic cancer of the breast spread all over the body, would meet her for lunch at the Metropolitan Museum of Art once a month. Then he would walk her through the art that she liked for a half hour. He did it for 5 years, restudied her, she was cured. One case doesn't prove anything, but he turned around and studied 500 people, and he found through these techniques, the relaxation techniques, massages, love, healing, hope, that he was able to double the lifespan of the majority of the patients, and the spontaneous cure rate went up. He could tell by studying the patients and interviewing them, he could tell from the history who was going to have cancer or who did have cancer. Very, very interesting stuff to read. I wish I had met Dr. LaShan. Cancer, A Turning Point, a great book. You can get it on Amazon. So, of course, cancer has to do with, this is an interesting concept. I wrote a book on this, placebo, nocebo. What is that? I have a book out you can get on Amazon called Placebo, Nocebo, the nocebo, the evil twin. Hardly ever meet a provider who knows what nocebo means. Placebo, I think most of us know what that is you believe what I give you or what I do, the cure rate goes up. No question about it. I saw that in no matter what I did in surgery. A very positive presenting provider, loving provider, hugs the patient, prays with the patient. Placebo effects of spontaneous healing the body went way up. Way up. Situations where I thought a patient would never survived because I loved the patient. The patient loved me. I would even bring music into the room. I had a violin player come in and play for a patient who was a musician. Guess what? He got a lot better. So that's the placebo effect. You believe, and you now understand, why would that person get better? The neuropeptides, the hormones, and the neurotransmitters. Their brain connected to the frontal lobe. Their thought process healed them on these receptor sites in the body. And the nerves and hormones, neuropeptides going to the thymus, the spleen, your army and navy that defends you. Okay, your lymphatic system that defends you is affected by your thought process. It's called immunology, okay? And now the will to live. Remember, I stressed that. You know, you want to see Johnny graduate. You want to go to this wedding to visualize that, to see it in your mind's eye and repeat it every day, increasing your will to live, and feeling the love of your family and your children leads to healing. And so love is important. Love is a healer. Definitely, love is a healer. I didn't always do it, but I learned it from a family I lived with. When a house burned down, I lived with Mr. Freeland, the famous Pizza Hut guy in town here, and he had a habit of hugging me all the time, and I learned to hug people, which my family didn't do. And I tell you, I helped a lot of people hugging them. So love is important, and that the patient believes. You got to believe. And that's where faith comes in. Sometimes it may look so bad to you that you just can't possibly think anything become positive. But if you use in combination with spirituality and positive words you might repeat, music, dancing, love, exercises you can do, proper nutrition, which I'll teach you shortly, is helpful. So positive and negative expectations are important. Cancer is a weak cell. You got to realize cancer is a weak cell. It's a reject, actually. It doesn't have the normal genes and DNA in it, and it can be killed, actually, quite easily. So cancer begins with a cell with incorrect genetic information, okay? We make a few cancer cells, believe it or not, every day. Yeah, you know, we replace most of the cells, like your skin is replaced in 6 months or so. And don't you think of some mistakes we made and some cancer could form? Yeah, but your immune system, the Army, Navy comes in and kills them immediately, okay? So that's a surveillance theory of lymphatic system and cancer. We know how to fix cancer. But malignant cells are weak and disorganized. And you know, there's some obvious causes of cancer we need to avoid. We know some of them: smoking, for example. God knows how many tumors spread from the lung to the brain I operated on over the years. I didn't cure many of them, but it lengthened their life for months or years sometimes. And chemical exposure, which we have a great deal. I mean, they study the blood of newborns today. They got in at 200 strange chemicals that they got from their mother, who picked them up in the environment. Yeah. It's actually more than that. So for us to react to chemicals we're exposed to is part of the causation of chemicals. Drugs cause them. Loss of immunity from, say, another problem, you lose your immunity, and then the second cancer comes in, like someone I know developed lymphatic cancer, and that dropped the immunity. That's your defense system. Bang, kidney tumor shows up. The immunity is down. Those things happen. Or you had an infection, or you're not eating properly, you're not exercising, you're laying in bed all day for another good reason, smoking at the same time, eating the wrong food at the same time. Your immunity goes down, cancer rates go up. I would say 30 to 70% of cancers due to poor nutrition. Yes, due to poor nutrition. It's been discovered that our DNA, our genetic structure, is affected by the environment, okay, our lifestyle, and what we eat. So when we put enough forks, when we put enough fingers, how we use our feet can increase rates of cancer, chronic disease, diabetes, hypertension. So health habits are very important. Personally, I think having an excessive BMI, being overweight, increases cancer rates. About 60-70% of all cancers are caused by what we're eating. It's very clear 60% of breast cancer is caused by having excessive BMI, being overweight. Yeah, that white fat sitting in the belly and the liver, a lot of it's actually sitting in the liver and the heart, and the omentum makes IGF-1 and estrogen compounds, which cause cancer. Very few women I've ever met know that. It's our fault. But I'm out there telling you. So get the BMI down, exercise regularly, eat the right food, avoid sugary products. Cancer is a sugar feeder. Cancer, because of rapid metabolism, loves sugar. We all got to eat some sugar. but that doesn't mean you got to be overweight and eat excessive amount of sugar, okay? And if you have cancer, even metastatic cancer spread over your body, get as much sugar as you can by eating a nutrient-dense diet out of your diet, and we'll speak more about that. You will clearly avoid getting cancer, and even when it's spread over your body, you can reduce the size of it and occasionally get a spontaneous cure out of it. In Japan, they have a little cancer, although they smoke like anything because they eat more vegetarian diet is the reason. Smoking clearly is a cause of it, but so can the way you eat is even a higher cause of cancer, but we don't talk about it, okay? For example, when they put cancer cells in humans for one reason or another, they're immediately destroyed. They did it accidentally in transplant sometimes. A story of a patient who received a new kidney and immunity was impaired because they gave him steroids to avoid rejection, but the tumor had some cancer cells in it. Had a tumor like that sitting in the chest within 3 days. They took the kidney back out and it was gone in 3 days. That's how fast your immunity works. It's something. There's a strong link between cancer and stress. Cancer and stress, yeah. So to stress reduction techniques from meditation to exercising, through music, through dancing, yoga, Tai Chi, mindfulness. Don't worry about the past and the future. There's a rule in my house: after 9 o'clock, you can't bring up any problems. I learned that from a book, and that's the way it is. And it's relaxing. You can sleep better. I actually learned it from Norman Vincent Peale, a famous minister from New York. It was in his books. So I think this is a very good thing to remember. So stress reduces your immunity. Dr. Hans Selye studied it from Montreal, German like me. He's dead now because this was done many years ago, like in the 60s, 50s, 40s. He studied in animals. NIH no longer funds the studying of applying stress to animals. They say it's proven. He would stress these rats, and they would, and this is chronic stress, not acute. Acute stress: the tiger runs at me, my blood pressure goes up, the heart rate goes up, your amount of sugar and fat in the blood goes up, the bladder shuts down, your bowels shut down. There's a stress reaction. But the tiger is gone. Either I'm alive or dead. That's acute stress. You get over it. It leaves very little effects on the body unless he got you, okay? Chronic stress plays on you all the time, and that's what he studied in rats and mice. And he found their hearts get bigger, their lymph nodes get bigger, and they didn't eat as well, and a lot of them died. That's the chronic stress reaction. Definition of stress would be non-specific reaction to your thought process, positive or real or not real, affecting your physiology and your psychology of your body. That's chronic stress. And I think it's a pretty good definition. So Hans Selye called it general adaptation syndrome, where the lymph nodes get bigger and the heart get bigger and the blood pressure went up. And this suppresses the immune system, and your army goes away, and you can die or get cancer. So this definition I like better: inability to cope with perceived, real or imaginary, threats to our physical, emotional, and psychological well-being. I think is a better definition of it. I think Hans had 10,000 definitions, okay? That's just the one I like the best. But we need to be looked at as an individual. We're all stressed differently. What's stress to one person may not be stress to another. We all get stressed. If I didn't get stressed, I might not get out of bed, okay? So you got to accept a certain amount of it. So it's chronic, long-term stress. That's really the problem. And it affects our immunity. And remember, I spoke about Dr. Lawrence Lashan, who was an experimental psychologist and counseled a lot of cancer patients. And he was the foremost theorist of the psychological history of a cancer patient. So, and he wrote a lot about the emotional factors and the causation of cancer. So what he said, patients' youth was marked by feelings of isolation, despair, and intense interpersonal relationships, those people were more likely to get cancer. Interesting. Previous strong personal relationships removed that they didn't have any deaths, significant deaths in the family, no divorce, and they're not retiring, which is a threat to many people. Sometimes with nothing to do, they get cancer. Got to have a purpose in life. Got to be planning something, doing something. LeShan found too, if he could establish a purpose for life in his patient, once he got him as a cancer patient, or even if they had it before, they're much more likely to survive, double the lifespan, cure rates went up. So I feel so lucky. I feel I have a purpose. I'm a wellness teacher. There's a lot of need for it. So even after 45 years of neurosurgery, I have lots to do. I have a purpose. Thank you. If you don't have a purpose, maybe invent one. Maybe it's a chance for you to do something you could never do before, and if you can afford it, go do it. Tie your brain into it. You're much more likely to survive because your Army and Navy will come in to help you. Very important thing. Establish a purpose. Rick Warren wrote a book called A Purposeful Life. Read that. I think that's a good one to read. So people who have despair bottled up, have no zest for life, they want to die, they're ready for death. They may welcome death. 20% of people welcome death. Try not to be in that group. Try not to be in that group. So LeShan said 76% of 500 patients with cancer had a history of emotional problems. Interesting. Or severe stress. Only 10% of the control group without cancer had this pattern. Different psychology. Isn't that interesting? And this was Dr. Green, Dr. Kesson, they all wrote books on that. Many patients with leukemia, lymphoma had histories of despair, hopelessness, and discontinuity. Interesting. When you see, especially elderly people, come down with lymphomas in their blood, don't you really wonder that they don't have a purpose or stressful things are occurring? They envision the end of their life, and maybe the family is not giving them a hug. Disease process increases. And of heavy smokers, the ones that have cancer were found to have higher rates of chronic stress. Huh. Even with them, with the exposure of all the toxins that are in cigarettes. If they had more stressful lives, the cancer rates went up. And this is an interesting story from in Carl Simonton's book. But there was a ranch, a lady owned a ranch, her husband died, and she developed cancer very soon thereafter. That's one of the causes of stress. Steph was a spouse. The ranch hand then married her, and the cancer went away. Then the ranch hand took all her money, the cancer came back, and she died. Okay, does that prove the relationship? No, but you kind of wonder, don't you? And so retirement, now what? 6 kids off to college, now what? Breast cancer with metastasis. See what I'm talking about? Develop a purpose in life. Loss of identity, hopelessness, helplessness. Death is the solution. And so read these books of Rick Warren, Dr. LeShan. In my books, I have a book, a very good book, I think it's a good book at least, Healing Cancer with the Power of Your Mind, right here. It's on Amazon. It doesn't cost very much. You can even buy it, I think, for a couple of bucks if you use the tech methods. And the iBooks. And it really summarizes all these books. And so let's speak about the upper spiral of recovery. I'd like to go over a little bit of summary out of a very good book, Anti-Cancer, A New Way of Life by Schreiber, David Schreiber, right here. I thought it was an excellent book. And views a little bit, and he calls anti-cancer action. And you'll notice these got a big plate, fruit. These are fruits of color, nutrient dense. It is the vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals in food of color. Now you can add mushrooms, and you can add onions. Matter of fact, if a woman would eat 1 slice of fresh onion and put a mushroom on top of that every day, it reduces cancer rate by 60%. It's in Dr. Furman, my friend's book, right in there, and I've read it many other times. So let's go through things you could do to protect yourself here, not to get cancer in the first place. Okay? Avoid pesticides, insecticides. Avoid chemical cleaning products. Avoid skin contact with aluminum products. Very interesting. Diet, eat a grass-fed organic. If you're going to eat meat products, grass-fed organic meat, okay? The beef we're eating today is from an animal that was in a cage. They put on pesticides, herbicides, fed it genetically modified corn products, and a lot of omega-6 bad fats that inflame your body, lead to cancer, heart disease, diabetes, okay? You're going to eat meat like that, make sure it's organic grass-fed meat product. I think yogurt is good. It's good protein. It's fermented milk products. Milk products, my friend Dr. Varula in town, pediatrician, is really an expert on milk. And he does not recommend milk after age 2 because the casein in milk, he says, is like liquid meat. It's one of the most carcinogenic substances you could consume. Interesting. Isn't that interesting? So to eat a lot of cheese or a lot of milk products can increases cancer rates. That's interesting. And exercise, I think, is important, and I think we spoke about that. Even if you can just walk 30 minutes a day, if you can't move at all because you have problems, well, dance in place. Okay? And I think dance, and the exercise you're more likely to do is the one that you consider to be fun. That's a good one to remember. But it's very important. Matter of fact, there's such a thing out now called sitting disease. If you sit for 3 to 4 hours in your work and you don't move, don't get up a few minutes to do something, stand up, answer the phone, do something like that. You sit 3.5 hours straight, it's like smoking a pack and a half of cigarettes. It's in the literature. Go to YouTube, look at my 100 lectures I got on YouTube. That's one of them. Sitting disease. Fascinating. I don't have enough time to explain sitting disease to you right here, but so increase in practice methods of relaxation, self-centering activities. If you're mindful, don't think of the past, don't think of the future. You can quiet your mind, and then visualize. See what you like to achieve. Okay, visualize. They use visualization and meditation actually to cure cancer. Visualize a Pac-Man coming in to your body, or tanks coming in and getting into your lymphatic system and eating up these tumors that you know on certain x-rays and is cleaning out your body. You're speaking to your subconscious mind, okay? And they have some proof that visualization techniques have value. This is not fiction. This is true. It's throughout these books. Fighting Cancer from Within by Martin Rossman. He describes very well imagery that visualize that this Army, Navy is coming in there and cleaning your body of cancer and affecting your immunity. Maybe it's eating up the cancer cells, and then you're urinating them out. Do that 2 or 3 times a day. I had somebody do it. I know lives very close to me, and I think he went 10 years with his cancer, and he's still around. And he's visualizing 2 or 3 times a day a Pac-Man coming up eating up his cancer cells. He did about 5 minutes 3 times a day with some meditation, relaxation, and it can work. So free yourself of your feelings of powerlessness. Don't just hand your cancer to the provider. You got to participate in your health care. You must do something. It's like treating diabetes. You got to do something every day. You got type 2 diabetes. Check the blood, do this. Cancer is like that. You must do something with it every day, some stress reduction, exercise, and watch what you're eating, and we'll go over those. Remember what I said? Nutrient-dense food of color, not much, and not much meat that is not organically raised, okay? Because it has omega-6s in it. Bad meat, bad fish raised in the pond has been fed carbon products, butter products, fat products, chicken litter, to fatten it up, to sell it, and then you're eating it, full of omega-6. pro-inflammatory. Pro-inflammatory essential fatty acids, which that is, cause cancer. Versus omega-3s, we can get from fish oil, from nuts, for example, are very healthy. They're anti-inflammatory. So you want to be eating an anti-inflammatory diet. You don't get vascular disease, you don't get diabetes, and you don't get cancer. So inflammation really has a lot to do with it. And a traditional Western diet is pro-inflammatory, causes inflammation. Fat, salt, and sugar causes inflammation. A Mediterranean type diet, which is I'm describing, although I don't like to call it Mediterranean, a nutrient-dense diet, as described by Dr. Furman, myself. I wrote a book called Secret of the Nun Diet. It's on Amazon. And activates the immune system, okay? Persistent anger and despair will affect your neuropeptides and neurohormones, lead to cancer. So social isolation increases cancer activity and reduces lifespan. You want to be part of a group, part of a strong family. Very helpful. Church, for example, would be a good thing. And maybe establish a new identity that if you just stop working with your cancer, do nothing, you have no purpose, your lifespan is going to be shorter. Your cure rates are going to go down. So find a purpose in your life. This is LaShan speaking, okay? And get away from a sedentary lifestyle. I mean, you may not have the ambition, you may not feel good, but dancing plays. Incidentally, I take a dance lesson every week, okay? It's good exercise. It's music. It's fun. I play music in my car all the time when I'm driving. And you know what? You'll see my lips moving because I'm singing to it. Okay, that's relax. That's how I get rid of my stress. Singing, dancing, listening, watching musical videos is relaxing. And so let's speak about specific foods a little bit, just a little bit more. So I like laughter. Laughter is healing. If you just give it what's called a Duchenne smile, just smile, that'll secrete a certain amount of neuropeptides in your body, yeah, without even thinking it's funny. So do some Duchenne smiles every day, okay? But it'd be a lot better if you were to find some funny movies. If you could laugh a lot from a movie, there have been books written about that can lead to healing. Some very famous books have been written on that, about the power of music, power of it affecting your immunity and healing you. So music is very, very powerful. So we like laughter, serenity, and a clean environment. You can't be, somebody can't be smoking in the house. You got cancer and the other person is smoking, and this is going to probably kill you. I remember years ago, a beautiful lady, nice job, everything, never smoked, and her husband came in and I could smell it on his body, and she came to see me with a back pain and a leg pain, and it was so excessive. I kind of thought something more to this problem, and I took the husband downstairs in X-ray to show him the X-rays, but he couldn't even walk down a flight of stairs because of poor health, COPD from his smoking. Guess what you had? Metastatic lung cancer in the sacrum, accounting for pain, dead in 6 months. Husband did it. It happens. My thought process was, never in his lifetime will he ever meet as an attractive person as she was. And it was very sad. I saw a lot of that, unfortunately. So if you're smoking, please, I beg you, just throw them away. But again, that's not the sole cause of cancer. There are other reasons. So I'd like you to eat food sort of almost like a type 2 diabetic. We have the glycemic index, which when you eat a certain amount, say an ounce, the blood sugar goes up quite quickly in some foods, like white bread, for example. While if you eat Ezekiel bread, which is sprouted bread, it goes up very slowly. So I like to eat, so white bread's 100, beans maybe 20. So I like to eat 50 or less on the glycemic index. Okay, they also speak now by the glycemic load, which is the amount of that you eat. You can find that table on the internet, glycemicindex.com. So I want you to eat, remember what I said? Cancer's a sugar feeder. It metabolizes quickly. It wants sugar. It wants sugar. And sugar, what it inflames your body to begin with, so they help cause the cancer to begin with. So type 2 diabetics, people that have a problem with the body mass index, much more likely to get cancer. Remember I said that already? Okay. Much higher rates of cancer in people whose BMI is excessive. And in women, 60 to probably 80% of breast cancer is due to being overweight. Yeah, especially belly fat. Especially belly fat. So that it can be avoided. So it's quite important to try to eat a nutrient-dense diet. Also, if you buy foods you think are healthy, like an apple, wash it because they has pesticides on it. I noticed, yeah, I've got a woodchuck, believe it or not, living under my house because I can't kill a mouse. I don't allow it to be trapped or killed, okay? Lived there 5 years now. But so I know about his feeding habits a little bit. And I could put an apple there, although he's a vegetarian, he won't touch it. Now, why won't he touch it? Because of the chemical sprays. I understand now, I read recently, that they actually pick the apples green. Then they inject them with nitrogen to make them taste like an apple. And then they spray them to make them red. I read that. It's true. And my guy won't eat them. I see the point now. He's hungry as can be, won't touch it. He can smell the chemicals. It's a true story. It's a true story. 5 years, still alive though. In the mornings I see him there looking at the sun. You know, I told my wife, I said, I'm not going to move this guy. He lives on the ground. He's having a good day. That's me. All right. I don't recommend that. So the good foods, you know, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, mushrooms, cruciferous vegetables, okay? And you can go to cashmanhealth.com and we list the good foods on them. And there's a PowerPoint there on reversing type 2 diabetes. Similar diet you want to be eating here on cashmanhealth.com. And you can go to resources, the 70 YouTube lectures there from previous shows here. You can really educate yourself for free. Onions, tomatoes, eggplants, peas, radishes, avocados, good fats, guacamole, avocados, good fat, okay? And avoid the farm-raised beef, the pond-raised fish. You want the fish from the ocean. Talk to the waiter, ask him. It can be embarrassing. Some of the restaurants here, I'm sure, will hesitate to see me walk in because I'm going to ask about it, okay? I'll even ask them when there's the bread. There's nothing but white bread sitting over there in a very good restaurant in town, and I beg them to put in dark bread or Ezekiel bread, so it's healthy. They won't change. So, but if you keep on bringing it up, they may change. Remember, sugar's a cancer feeder. It causes type 2 diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, which you want to avoid, okay? And but bananas, oranges, pineapples, grapefruits, melons, blueberries, all the berries you can eat, all the vegetables you can eat. I have it called a Rudy's plate. Half the plate is vegetables, all you can eat. Another quarter of the plate, make it a little more starchy vegetables, okay? And but remember, potato, you can gain weight off of that. A lot of sugar in potato, but I put a little olive oil in it, okay? Or eat it without anything to keep the fatty omega-6 stuff off of there. The butter and the creams and things, but put a little olive oil on it, or just eat it like that. And especially with cancer, that'd be good nutrition for you. Has no omega-6s in it. Won't inflame your body. Give you some calories. Some people need to be fed with cancer with IVs or with tubes. Total parental nutrition. That's important, but maybe your strength comes back, and then you can go to a nutrient-dense way of eating. There's a very good book, too, Beating Cancer with Nutrition by Quillen. A very good book to read. It's of excellent quality. I've read it a number of times. That's a good book, too. And, I think in some of these, for example, very good to eat in this book here, which I mentioned, read it. They have tables of great foods: garlic, leeks, scallions, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, beets, spinach, kale. Kale is excellent, very healthy food. They can even grow through the snow in the winter, incidentally. And some of these make great snacks. You know, you just put a little garlic on them and heat them up to 315 degrees, 15 minutes, and eat great snacks. And cabbage and cauliflower, I use that for snacks. Those are excellent snacks. Bok choy, squash, carrots. I can just go down the line. The list is long, but I want you to avoid the omega-6 bad meat products and sugar feeders. Donuts and things of that nature are not part of good cancer therapy or even preventing it, okay? So remember, give yourself a new permission slip to act differently. Maybe now you can pick up a different career. For some people, it's possible. If you can't find another job or whatever, you're on sick leave, but maybe you can do some charitable work or maybe at the school or whatever. Find something to do. You don't want to sit home and watch TV all day, eat lousy food, and looking for the day that you die. Well, that's the day you are going to die. So you want hope and a renewed desire to live. Visualize. Remember I said about the Pac-Man and the lymphocytes healing your body, okay? The tank coming in there and shooting the cancer, destroying the cancer. Remember I said about that? And so we need a change in the psychological state. Some people need counseling. And The Will to Live by Hutschenegger, remember, says a great book to read. Don't believe this stuff. You only have 6 months to live. Bunch of baloney. It's only a statistical curve. You are an individual person. We don't know who you are. We don't know what your immunity is. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. So, and negative thinking can destroy you. It's like the voodoo effect. I know of a case, for example, that it wasn't my patient, but it was a close relative of mine who was a neurosurgeon. And he was telling me about it. He says, Dad, maybe this is what you're talking about. This 38-year-old patient came in with 4 children, no husband, and she had a seizure, very small tumor in MRI, but we're not experienced enough. We know what's malignant pretty well, not 100%, but that looked bad. So she talks to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, how long got to live, doctor? And he says, well, 6 months. And she started screaming. She had no husband and and 4 children, okay? I just said, you have 6 months to live. She started screaming, screamed all night. Then he biopsies. The next day he tells her the biopsy proves what he was saying. And he repeats again, 6 months to live. No hope, gave her no hope. She was dead the next day. Very sad situation. You know what happened? It's like the voodoo effect. It's fibrillary degeneration of the heart. Blood pressure goes up and the heart fails and she died. Not from the tumor, from her stress reaction to it. That's like voodoo. That's like voodoo. The witch doctor points his finger at you, and if you believe that the rest of the people don't want you, they want you to die, people have. That's well known. It's in the medical literature. It's well described. So that's really the nocebo, negative talk, the nocebo effect. I wrote a book on it. Remember I mentioned Amazon, good book to read because we nocebo a lot of patients by giving them all this negative stuff. Don't give them any hope. Don't give them the placebo effect, which could heal them. So I personally think every medical student should read that book, 50 pages, and I don't think that they do. How to speak to people is important. How you speak to your relative and your loved one to get rid of the negativity. Give them a hug. How's your day? Turn on the music. Give a book to read. Hey, want to stand up with me? Take a walk. This is how you need to speak to cancer patients. And they need to be in an optimistic atmosphere. And so we don't give them the voodoo effect, the nocebo. So some people think cancer is synonymous with death. I'm telling you, it's not. And I don't care if it's spread all over the body. And I remember there's 2 patients that I met at Starbucks. Both had prostate cancer spread all over. One listened to me and all this, and that patient's still alive. The other didn't believe in any of this, including the nutrition, although he did exercise, and he died. I don't know if it made any difference or not, but I was still concerned that it might have made a difference. And I loved the guy. So because we were good friends for many years. And so that may double your lifespan. Its spontaneous cure rate goes up. So at least 50% are helped by mind-body medicine. But I'll tell you also that providers today, frankly, don't teach it. So look at this on YouTube. Don't teach it much. Look on YouTube, and you can watch this, and maybe it'll inspire you and read some of these books. So your body's defenses, your lymphatic systems, your Army, Navy, and Air Force, they're mortal enemies of cancer. They want to get it out of there. You get a virus or bacteria, the lymphatic system attacks us. The same with cancer. Modern medicine cures many patients. I mean, take the chemo, take the radiation, whatever, but on top of that, do this. That's all I ask, okay? And get plenty of opinions on the internet. You can get other opinions. Sometimes you need more opinions than just one. There can be differences of opinion. And let's face it, marriage has only 50% success rate. Cancer has a much higher success rate than that. So if you combine with the usual recommended treatment and combine it with positive thinking, combine it with exercise and good nutrition, your cure rate is going to go up. So hope is in spirituality very important in the cancer healing process. And believe me, I saw that many times. So to get a massage is a good thing too, because your lymphatic system, which has in it your Army, Navy, and Air Force, is connected just to your circulatory system, but not directly to the heart. So the flow in it is very slow. You get 600,000 miles of lymphatic capillaries in your body. So to get a massage, a lymphatic massage, I think it's very good. If anything, at least make you feel better. It'll move the lymphatic system along, and I think it has great value. I wrote a book with someone, Richard Johnson, called the pH related to cancer, and there's great discussion of that in there. So in summary, I highly recommend that you remember the mind-body connection through self-healing, through a proper thought process, through proper exercise, through proper nutrition. Watch our other shows because they're all about health, and you can see them on YouTube. Look at CashmanHealth.com. If you want me to read a book, send me a book. I'll meet you at Starbucks. We'll discuss it. But you need information. You must participate in your health care, and you'd be surprised how well you do. You may cure yourself. So why am I doing this show here? Because I love you. I care about you. They care about you where I work at Lutheran Hospital and the cancer specialists. We're all working together, and watch some of our other shows. And thank you very much for watching. Namaste.